Yeah, man. So we're going to talk a lot about George Kittle, and we're going to talk about Paraag Marathe today.
Love it. Let's do it.
So as far as Paraag Marathe does, like he does a lot of good things for the franchise, right? And we can make an argument that really what his job is not to cater to the players, but it's to cater to the franchise and the Yorks. Right?
The Yorks.
Exactly. He is trying to get the best possible deal that he possibly can for the franchise. And that doesn't mean that the player is always going to get the best deal. Hence the Raheem Mostert deal. Raheem Mostert, I didn't know that he had $0 guaranteed on his contract.
Zero.
And I think he signed that contract because he didn't know that his role was going to be surplus as far as getting that much carries and being that big of an impact on the 49ers offense, right?
Plus, he had 41 career carries. He didn't have much he could really leverage in negotiations, but yes.
Exactly. And when you look at that type of contract for a special teams ace, $9 million for 3 years is not bad. It's like if you're an active gunner, that means every 4 games you're going to make $1 million, right? So
that's for running down the field like 4 or 5 times.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And some of the time there's a fair catch and you just ran,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's a pretty good contract. Now, what we've seen and this isn't something that's happened since Paraag Marathe has been here. It's something that just recently happened, and that was with DeForest Buckner and Arik Armstead. We've seen a top tier, I would say top 5 defensive linemen in the league at the 3 technique. We've seen him be traded because he wanted too much money.
Right.
Do you think that this is going to be something that happens on a regular basis with Paraag Marathe? And is he getting in the way of us re-signing top-tier players?
It seems to be the pattern. I think so. What I see from Paraag Marathe is he's a little bit like Billy Beane. I mean, he's great at what he does. He protects the 49ers. He makes sure they're never in salary cap hell, which is what they were in before he came into the organization. So exactly. For what he was hired to do, he does it perfectly. And if you're negotiating with players who are mid-level or even above that, guys who are really good, but they just came off an injury, or they only had 1 good year, they don't have the longevity. He does a great job of giving them a contract that makes them feel important, but also protecting the team. Like they did that with Colin Kaepernick. They gave him a big extension after like a season and a half.
Right.
And Kaepernick could say he was the highest paid player in the league, but when you really looked at the fine print, the Niners protected themselves and it was year to year. And that's the pattern with Paraag every time. He gives out a big deal. People say, oh my God, did the Niners overpay? And they're like, wait, let's see what Paraag did. Then you see that he protected the Niners and you end up applauding Paraag. And there's this whole like Paraag cult fan base.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? So he does a good job with every player. But my theory is, you can't pull those the Paraag tricks, the things that he does to win the negotiations on most players. You can't do that with George Kittle or DeForest Buckner. You can do it with Jimmy Garoppolo because they signed him after 7 career starts. So they could give him a lot of bonuses and whatever, but then say like, we're going to go year to year after year 2. You can't get George Kittle to agree to something like that, or DeForest Buckner. If you really want the best players in the league and guys who have proven it over a long period of time, guys who have proven that they're durable, leaders, responsible, not going to get in trouble. You just kind of have to give them what they're worth, because if you're not willing to, some other team is. And I don't think – I have a feeling Paraag Marathe just hates losing deals like that. He would rather trade a player like DeForest Buckner than to give him what he wants. He would rather work over a guy like Arik Armstead, because Armstead really doesn't have much to negotiate. He had 1 good year. So if the Niners give him something, he basically has to say thank you.
So the guaranteed money on Arik Armstead's contract, I believe, wasn't it 40 guaranteed?
Let me check it out real quick. He has 0 guaranteed money in his salary in his contract after 2021. How about that?
So what was this guaranteed? What was this?
$9 million. Armstead got 9. See what I'm saying? This is Paraag Marathe. When you really look at the details of these contracts, he works these players over, man. And Armstead, what's he gonna do? Hold out for more? How? What arguments he gonna make? He had 1 good year. So he gets to tell everyone, man, I got an $85 million contract and I'm making $17 million a year. Actually, you have $9 million guaranteed, Arik.
With that being said, we did see, players that came in that we traded for get some good contracts. Do you think that this is necessarily going to get in the way of players like DJ Jones or Fred Warner? Those type of guys?
That's a good question. Fred Warner, I don't know, because linebackers aren't a particularly expensive position. Kind of like tight ends. I don't think Fred Warner is going to hold out for $17 million a year. I think they should be able to re-sign him, but I'm wondering about Nick Bosa. It's a couple years down the line, but he's going to want more money than DeForest Buckner wanted. I mean, unless he gets hurt. If he gets hurt and misses a season, then Paraag Marathe can come in and do what he does best. But if he doesn't, and he plays let's say he plays the next 2 seasons just as good as this last season, misses 1 or 2 games, he'll be able to ask for $23-24 million a year given inflation. And what's Paraag going to do then? I don't know.
But the thing is, with the new CBA and, probably the CBA money probably is not going to come next year. Like, the salary cap is going to stay what it is. We're looking at having $61 million, I believe, if you add the money from the $12 million that was supposed to go to Joe Staley. So we're not in a bad space with salary cap. But when they see that salary cap increase, I don't think that Paraag is going to be so hell bent on making sure that he gets the best possible deal for the team because of A, Bosa's importance, and B, we have new money to work with. It's the new CBA. Like, they're going to get flooded with some new cash.
There's a bunch of good points you just made. All I'm saying is I feel like it's an ego thing with Paraag Marathe. He needs to win. Needs to win the deal. Needs to make the contract team friendly. And I don't think he can bear to sign off on a contract that's player friendly on a scale of 20, 21, 23, $22 million a year. He'll give Kyle Juszczyk a player friendly deal, but that's like low stakes. It's a fullback. You see what I'm saying? I think when you start getting into the stratosphere of very, very expensive contracts, Paraag's going to look to protect the 49ers in every single way he can. And he did that with Colin Kaepernick. He did it with Jimmy Garoppolo. Maybe I'm missing an example of a huge contract the Niners gave out and basically didn't protect themselves at all and said, we're doing this on faith. We believe in you and trust in you. We'll see what happens over the next. I can't remember them ever doing that.
Okay, so we have a comment right here. And it says less about winning and more about doing his job well.
Who? Paraag?
Yeah. This is from
less about winning than doing his. Yeah, I think so. I think there needs to be someone over Paraag being like, I think you're missing the big picture here, Paraag. You're great at what you do. But with players like Buckner and Kittle, I think you might need a different approach because you're not going to win those negotiations. You're not. You just can't. Yeah. Because look, you go to Buckner and you tell him, hey, man, we know you think you're worth 21, but we're just going to stop at 18. Why would Buckner agree to that?
Right.
He's not from California. He knows other teams would pay him. So to him, it's just kind of a slap in the face.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know, man. And I just hope that, people can put their pride aside and do what's best for the team. And I think that you could still do what's best for the player and do what's best for the team at the same time, because you can totally say, we're not going to pay that and trade away a player. But, what are you giving up in order to achieve what your goal is? And we don't necessarily want to give up too many top-notch players because then we become a middle-of-the-pack team, and that's not what we're trying to do. I kind of enjoyed last season. I want to continue the success.
I feel like it's the Khalil Mack fallout. Like when the Raiders traded Khalil Mack, head exploded. Like, how do you trade someone like that? You're supposed to be thanking God when you get a guy like that, because even if you have a top 3 pick or a top 5 pick, there's no guarantee you get Khalil Mack. And so, the once every 20 years you get a guy like that in your roster, you're supposed to be thankful, give him whatever he wants, retire his jersey, and thank him. But it seems like teams don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
The Raiders made a decision with Cooper and Mack, and now the Niners did it with Buckner. And how far does it go? I think teams are going to start doing it with quarterbacks.
Yeah.
As players start getting 20, 25, 30, you really got to think about it. And I just feel like I understand why the Raiders did it. I understand why the Niners did it. But I think I'm just old school. And I feel like I'd be more like the Chiefs, who were like, you know what? Let's make sure we have Chris Jones, Patrick Mahomes, our pillars, our best players, and we'll figure out the rest. We'll figure out running back. We'll figure out offensive line. But
exactly,
maybe they're short-sighted and maybe they're wrong.